So, hi guys. This week we're going to do things a little bit differently. We have a UK London takeover of the log. So the UK team with Mark and Andrew, they are going to have this episode this Thursday talking about what they are doing in the UK and in other countries right now.
So Madge, good?
All good.
Fantastic. So we're just going to talk through very quickly the board, Mark's board.
Brilliant.
He loves his board. So this is ultimately our first time going through this. I know we've talked through it in the past, obviously just being here. So really all we're doing is looking at the numbers. So from a leads perspective, you can see we've got a solid amount of leads.
Potentially speaking to 5 new contacts who are very promising, and I think
So 5 solid ones.
yeah, 5 solid ones.
Yeah.
So
Here we are. Morning, Josie. Morning, Andrew. Morning, Marcus. And what we doing this morning, boys? Moving in. We're on site this morning, looking at a beautiful site with Matrix. We're going to go do some design of the club. Mr. Paul Jones from Matrix himself. Mr. Andrew Ray from HITIO. Got your jacket on, son?
Yes, always branded.
Oh, there you
Always
go.
branded.
Look at that. Come on in, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Andrew.
This is the boardroom, this is where Mark bores you.
Oh.
So, I'm going to find out what you know about Escape Fitness.
Yep.
You're going to tell me what you're looking for
Okay.
in regards to equipment
Yep.
for your sites across UK and Europe.
Yep.
And then we'll see how we can help you out.
So you do Europe as well as UK?
Yes.
Brilliant.
We are worldwide.
Yeah, no, Escape is, but I think whether that falls under you or whether it falls under somebody else, or whether you can
I
do
can look after you in Europe. I'll look after you.
Perfect. But my background in business is I've been in the fitness industry for nearly 20 years. But I've been in the leisure, hospitality and service trade for over 30 years, starting off from when I was a very young boy as a chef, and then leading through to nightclubs, bars, restaurants, hotels, leading on to health clubs. And out of all of them, I would say that the service industry really was all about restaurants and hotels. From a marketing perspective, nightclubs in the day gave you a great insight of how to build a business, market a business. It was always very B2C. And then the health clubs, really, the marriage of all of what I learned previously went into my health club industry, but with a massive sales focus. Fitness is a drug. It's painful, it's horrible. Nobody likes going running on a treadmill or getting on a bike or a rowing machine, but actually the sense of achievement after that you've completed your session or your group of sessions or you've reached a goal, you just can't buy that. It's very powerful and very emotional, especially to the normal person out there that feels intimidated or unsure, a little bit isolated from the mainstream because they're possibly overweight or they're just body conscious or personality conscious. It all goes in hand. And what any gym in the world, not just HITIO, any gym in the world gives them that self-confidence, and they actually start to achieve small goals that lead on to big goals, which sort of brings me into the whole personal background. You know, I'm a an old man with a young family. You know, I've got a very beautiful family. I've got, my son is 10. I've got twins that are also boys that are 2.5. And my 10-year-old has been doing karate for the last three and a little bit years.
I think it's much. There's a lot of similarities between myself and Mark, and ultimately where I feel those similarities sit is we both entered the fitness arena, maybe from different backgrounds, but essentially moving away. Mine was from Somerset, Mark was from the Midlands, and coming into London and carrot cruncher, yeah. But ultimately, when we came into London, was to work with one of the leading operators, as we did, Mark for 10, I for 13 years. And I think the biggest thing for me that during that time is the fitness industry for me never really fulfilled what I thought it should in terms of a leisure sector or provider. And I think over the last few years, I've started to look at different areas, and again, the similarities to Mark is having young children. So I've got 2 girls. And as a parent now, looking at the leisure sector, probably barring your public and leisure centres, the offering that combines the family together is pretty absent from the industry. So having a look at that and really seeing then the HITIO model was just a bit of a no-brainer, because it started to look at the family as it was in a whole. For me, it was paramount to find a product that ultimately starts to combine that family feel together, and hence why we're here today.
It actually wasn't on my radar at all. I'd been offered another gig, and I was well on the way to taking that gig, and a phone call came through and said, would I mind meeting these Norwegian entrepreneurs? I said I would, if it was a breakfast the next morning. I really didn't think they'd say yes. And so therefore I'm now off to London and having a 7:30 meeting, which I thought would take half an hour to 40 minutes. 3 hours later, I'm in the back of a taxi making one of these vlogs with Per himself. We just hit it off, and it wasn't until I started talking about the whole concept, and Per was actually giving me the background of the story about the concept, that I really was aligned with it, with my 10-year-old. As you know, Job's been doing karate for just over 3 years, and as I've said, he's gone through such a transformation of self-achievement. But the biggest thing was I didn't even realise how much I was spending on Job, and it really didn't matter to how much I was spending. And most parents will tell you the same stories. You know, we become glorified taxi drivers, taking our children from A to B and B to C, and we really don't mind how much we pay, as long as we know those children are A, are safe, B, they're being looked after, and C, they're actually getting another life skill, a sense of achievement. And when I started talking to Per about this and realising, you know, personally myself and my wife spend, you know, north of £50 a month just for Job to do his karate. We become taxi drivers every Tuesday and every Friday evening, just as karate. He's got his other clubs that he does as well. And then I thought, wow, there's nothing like this in the UK. Nobody is doing this. My initial thoughts were, and I said to Per, why didn't I think of this 10 years ago?
Really, really similar to Mark. I mean, essentially, what brought me to HITIO, Mark and I, as I say, we go way back. And we actually only just went to meet for a catch-up and to have a coffee. And we were there, and 3 hours later, I'm saying, get me involved. Because I think, although we'd taken slightly different career paths, my particular side of being involved with that family aspect in the public sector. So I think trying to find somewhere that really offered something for not only the adults, but also for the children, but also for the adults and children together, was one that just wasn't on the marketplace, right? Very similar to Mark. I've got 2 girls, to your 3 boys, and my 2 girls I'm shipping here, there and everywhere, whether it's ballet, tap, dance, gymnastics, whatever it may be. They want to do it all, and we want them to do it all as children, and we don't really know what we're spending until we sit down and add it up. But all of a sudden, you know, you do go to these facilities as parents, and you sit there on the sidelines and you're scratching your head. I sit at Tappan Valley every Saturday morning for 3 hours, and really, barring being able to do a little bit of work or whatever, you are thinking, well, I could be doing something at the same time, but there's nothing there for me to do. And there's hundreds of parents like this all around the land. And that could be on the touchline of a rugby pitch, football pitch. It could be literally anywhere where we all are with our kids. All of a sudden, there's an environment where we can all go together, either train together or separately under one roof. And that's a real thing that's missing from the industry. And so, yeah, now we've got a real product to work on.
Why Andrew Race? Or why Mark and Andy, or why the Dream Team, or why whatever we call ourselves, it's irrelevant. Our results are the ones that count. Ant and Deck, Billy Bob.
Laurel and Hardy.
Laurel and Hardy's probably the best one. That's another fine mess you've got me into. Brilliant. It's trust. It wasn't a case of, are you capable or can you do the job? It is, A, do I know you can do the job? Absolutely, it wasn't even a question. B, do I trust you implicitly? You know that for a fact. And C, we know that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is delivering on what we say we're going to do and taking ownership of that particular, whatever it is, whether it's getting to here to a meeting, to delivering that site for the franchisee, to making sure that the flooring or the equipment or the training or the CRM system, all of it, we completely own it until it's delivered to the franchisee, and then we'll support them to be successful. And ultimately is, I know and you know, we both want it, we care about it, and ultimately that will transform into the franchisees, the entrepreneurs, having successful businesses which we won't let them fail.
Mm-hmm. And I think much similarly to Mark, when you get to this stage in your career, I think we both are at the opinion now that kind of in the industry we know what we're doing, and we know what it should look like, and we know what it wants to look like, and ultimately, most importantly, is where the next 5-10 years are within the industry.
Yeah.
And I think it's at a really crux time where the next 5 or 10 years something slightly different is going to happen, and something slightly different is going to break through for the reasons I gave before. And therefore, ultimately, when meeting up with Mark again, there is straight away that trust element, and there is that we know how each other work and how we both communicate, we know our strengths and weaknesses. But what I would say, although we're different, and rightly so, what is shared is that trust, and it also is that drive. And how we get there may be two different directions, but ultimately, the end we will always get. And I think we both, wherever we've gone in our careers, whether it's been together, locally competitive, or whether it's been on different sides of the world, ultimately we've always continued with that same drive. So when we've had the opportunity to meet up and chat again, and we found the product and we've gone, wow, we've got to get this product to market, it's right, then it was a bit of a no-brainer that we would be right for each other to be able to do that. Because I know where Mark's got off and really upskilled himself in the last few years is in areas I haven't, but probably vice versa. Mm-hmm. And therefore, you know, when it comes down to opening clubs around the globe, or whether it comes down to negotiations on that hardline stuff, there's nobody better out there. I know that factual, and I'm now seeing it, you know, one-to-one. On the flip side, you know, where that real feeling within a club, especially with that family side of things, I know I've really worked on that in the last 4 or 5 years, and got some things out there that are very exciting that we can potentially launch to the market. So I think it's a dangerous combination, exciting combination, and I'm sure a comical one at times, but we'll get there, we'll do that.
That's it for today. I really hope you enjoyed the London takeover, and of course that you will join us next Thursday. And remember to subscribe to the channel and to push the notification button.